All right, let me give you a quick walkthrough on how to install all your components from the original Titan Remote into the new wearable case. So let me point out a couple things for you. When you got this in the mail, your wearable case, go ahead and take off the back cover. I'm using the screwdriver that came with my Titan Remote. It's the same size screws. So I took off the screws, and you probably had some Kleenex in there. Is the way it was being shipped. That was just to keep the button from rattling around in there. So just throw out the Kleenex, and then this printed circuit board is sitting over here on this one at the time when you take it apart. And there's going to be two screws on the board, either in these two locations or in these two locations. They don't use all four. It's not necessary. They just use two. But you need to save all of those screws. So take out those two screws because you're going to reuse them on the new case. The screw that comes into the top over here, you will not use this one. We provided two new ones for your back case. The one on the original remote is a smaller, a little shorter screw, and it barely gave us one thread into this case, and so we just wasn't comfortable it was going to be adequate. So we got a little bit longer screws to hold your case in. Okay, and the last thing you want to be aware of is right here at the top. There's a little LED tube. It's a clear tube that is sitting in this spot at the top of the case where that little hole is. And you can use some tweezers, although I use my fingernail, it's easier. I just put my fingernail up underneath. There's a little lip on that little tube and pop it out. Be very careful. It's so small. It's very easy to lose, and especially if you're over carpet. So go in a safe spot and don't lose it. And it's not critical if you do lose it, but it just makes a better final finish if you reinstall the tube because the new case has it. Okay, so what you'll do is I've oriented it to, you'll take out the tube first, and let me go ahead and pull out these two screws. You can see where it is underneath since I took these out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pull this out now and give us so you can see what the case is like. So there's the button. I happen to have the gray button on this model. So there's that. Get that screw out of there. So here's the your button. It's loose. It just sits in there, so it rattles around. So all I did was I used simple Scotch tape, that regular, nothing fancy, just standard old magic tape, and taped on one side to kind of give it a lever, which is very similar to what your remote had over here, except it was built into plastic. We're just using a piece of tape. It does just as well. So the button's in here. We tape it down. There's that little clear tube that we pulled off of this one. So we pulled it out of here very carefully with your fingernail, and then reinstalled it in the hole there. Again, if you lose it or you can't put it in, don't worry. It's not critical. You can still see the LED flashing. All right, so that's what that is. Now, so what you'll do, the main thing in this is make sure you get the orientation right. So on your PCB board, just notice this this little design, that little half moon design with a plus to that side of the board. When you flip it over, the other side, there's a little diode is at the top here. That's labeled D2 on my board. Okay, it's right there. The other one's a resistor on that side, but this side up here, and again, that diode is the one that flashes red for you. It's sitting on this side of the board, which is the opposite side of where the curve is. So this is your top. That's the side that you want to have lined up with that LED. So let's go ahead and put it in that way. If you don't put it in right, of course the remote will still work. It's just you won't be able to see your LED flashing, letting you know that you've executed a command or that it's trying to pair. All right, so I slid it up. On your case, you probably have, let me pull one over here. You probably have this when it was shipped. What I did is I painted a little white on the two corners that I had pre-threaded for you, because when it comes off the machine, those are totally smooth. So what I did is I took the screw and I pushed it through for you. So if you have the white, that's the side that's already pre-threaded. If it's not white right now, that's fine. All you need to do is you're gonna force the threads in, which is really easy through the plastic. So put your screw on your on top of your screwdriver, and then you'll put it back over the hole, line it up, and press firmly down in as you seat that screw to go through, and you're giving it constant pressure as you're trying to reseat new threads through that smooth plastic. But if you see it white painted like you see here, a little white marks, that means that was already pre-threaded for you. So that's the holes you want to use. But if you use the other side, you got to just kind of give it some good push. So don't go too hard because you don't want to strip out the plastic. You can still do pretty well, but I'm going to use it by hand because I can tell by touch when I'm going. When I know I'm tight, is this will not move around. It's sitting perfectly inside the boundary that was designed to hold it. That's your circuit board. Okay, so it's sitting within the boundary. I've got both screws tightened down, and that does not slide around at all. Okay, so now the last step is just go ahead and put the cover on, put that back over, tighten it on, and that guy's ready to go for you. And then you want to add your case, your wet wristband. So here's an example of one of the wristbands that I had to do testing with. And on one side of the wristband for this is actually designed for Garmin Fenix GPS. So it's a 26 millimeter. That's the design. You can get thinner ones, but if you do, you're going to have a bigger gap here at the top. So the 26 is what that was designed for. So it looks perfectly in there, no gap. But in this case, there's the pins. We don't use the pin. I'm just using the pin in here, and I glued it in there because it's the stop so that it doesn't pull back through the back of it. So that's how it looks on ours. So if you use a pin one, I put it through the back. If it's this style anyway, you can use it. You'll put it on your wrist this way. And for me, I like to have your LED. You just hold it, pull it around, and then just go ahead and use your fingers to slide it through the through the slot, and then pull it around for the Velcro. So it'll go through the slot here and then come back around to Velcro on top of the strap. Okay. And if you get this strap, which is one of the ones I was recommending, I had mine on Temu's where I ordered it, but basically it's got Velcro on both sides. So I Velcroed one side just shortly. And then on the other side, so when I put my case on, is I pull over and it pulls down like that to keep it on. So it comes off quick. And I put one little tip is I put a little piece of Velcro at the top, just an extra piece I had, stuck it on here so that way this doesn't pass through anymore. So that way when I take it off, I don't have to keep rethreading this side of my wristband. So it's easier for me to pull it on and then tighten it up to whatever tightness I want. All right, that's it.